There we go. Let's get our Facebook folks rolling. And then we can start the show. Boom and boom. All right, folks. Welcome in. It is Monday morning. Scott, we're still going to call it a Victory Monday because the good vibes are carrying over still from that Thursday beatdown in the Easy City. Easy for the Broncos, New Orleans. And this is Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendall, joined by Scott Kennedy. Scott, how you doing? Not the most enjoyable weekend of football for myself or for Falcons out there. But other than that, pretty low key and happy to be here with good vibes in Broncos country.
Yeah, it was kind of a downer weekend, but like I said, it started off with Auburn pissing away another winnable game. Speaking of teams that are the Atlanta Falcons think Auburn blows a lot of leads. And then leading into Chelsea, leading into football Sunday, and they're losing to Liverpool. So that's kind of how it gets started. But Broncos country, like I said, is there anything better than winning a Thursday night game and just chilling through the whole weekend? It's nice, isn't it? To we already won. It's a great feeling. I love those early games.
I almost wish we had a more difficult opponent coming up. Why couldn't we have Baltimore this Thursday and then have the Carolina game?
The Panthers between the Ravens and Chiefs.
Exactly.
You're on to something, Nick.
But yeah, I mean, after if anybody caught the misfortune that was Marcus Mariota looking like the next coming of I don't know, Heisman.
Marcus Mariota, the number 2 overall draft pick.
The Oregon quarterback. That was a unbelievable beatdown of a Panthers team that, they're definitely in the huddle 1-2-3 Cabo based on that game. But it's the NFL. Can't overlook anybody. But, man, that was a terrible performance. And Denver's got a chance to really skyrocket their – I wrote an article last Wednesday, Scott, about how Denver has a chance to really get the offense humming and rolling. And while the passing offense against the Saints still looked pretty – we'll use the word clunky. The rushing offense looks great, and my God, are they going to have a chance to skyrocket themselves into the top 10 in many metrics against this Panthers team coming up here? Panthers against the Commanders ran for how many? 214 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, only 2 tackles for loss. I mean, they mowed them down up front, and that was without Jaden Daniels for a majority of the game. Marcus Mariota, like we talked about. So Denver, we still have 2 games left Monday night, so this isn't a complete data set. But as far as rushing the football so far this season, Denver's 11th in EPA per rush. And Scott, they're 4th in rush success rate. So Denver actually is starting to develop on paper an identity rushing the football. Now, that said, a lot of the weight of that was how unbelievable they ran the football versus the Saints. One big game like that can still really skew the overall sample when it's just 7 games, but it is 7 games. So Denver may be finding something on the ground. And that's kind of our main topic today. Shorter show. We got stuff to do. Game was Thursday, but Denver rushing the football. They might have something there.
And for me, and I don't know if they take this into account because the total numbers do. There's a difference between rushing stats and rushing the football. Because Bo Nix has been very successful on scrambles. Very, very successful. He's not taking negative plays, and he's making a lot of positive plays running the ball. And if that counts towards your rushing, I still feel like for most of the season, Denver's had a hard time in a traditional running game running when they needed to. And it's not going to get any – this week's going to be good. I think the Panthers have given up 200 yards 2 weeks in a row, and I haven't looked before that. But they're decimated on injuries, and the 1-2-3 Cabo is funny in the snap. That's they want to go on vacation. You can beat these guys into the ground without ever putting the ball in the air. So it should be another week. But we're talking about the consistency. Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable against every opponent? No, because you have different opponents. Is the Denver Broncos rushing game something that can be counted on to be a positive part of your offense week in and week out? That's what I think of when I think of consistency and sustainability. Yes, this is the best part of your offense, and it's coming together. It's coming together behind Javonte Williams looking healthier and more confident. You've got Jaleel McLaughlin is a nice change of pace up there. You got Mike McGlinchey back. Adam Troutman does a good job in the blocking game. And going forward, Quinn Miners is really good. Alex Forsythe in the center play has been okay, which is for what, $400,000. Okay is very good. And for a backup guy, that's a positive. So yeah, the Denver Broncos rushing game can be counted on to be an impact part of your offense, even though it's not going to have the same success every single week. That's just football.
And you also need to be multiple in what you're doing. I think, like we talked about on here, you need to be 2 of 4 things: explosive passing, efficient passing, explosive rushing, efficient rushing. Denver's not explosive rushing right now. They are efficient, Scott. So that there is something there, but they're neither explosive overall nor efficient passing the football right now. They're kind of weird because when you look at the passes that travel 20 plus yards, they look explosive. We'll have to see what the numbers are after Monday's games. But they are, when you move that bar down to air yards 10 plus, they're one of the worst passing teams in football. So it shows they're just like the intermediate area of the field in terms of the pass game. It's just not happening at all this season. Bo Nix is the second worst quarterback in terms of accuracy on horizontal routes this season, according to True Media, only ahead of Anthony Richardson, who's been just, I mean, he looks like a tight end out there right now. I mean,
throwing the ball.
Yeah, he's been terrible throwing the football. So there is a lot to work on. But the rush game looks good. And we got what else looks good? Denver Luke coming in says, "Good morning, Nick and Scott," with the coffee. I am sadly out of coffee right now, Scott. I didn't go refill, but I'll do that after this. Scott's got some vodka. No, the water, of course. And we got Michael also coming in, our morning guy, saying, "Good morning, Nick and Scott on Broncos for breakfast. Go Bo Broncos." Great to see you, Michael. We got some more folks in here want to say hello. David Youngkin's in the house. Great to see you. He says, "Nothing is sustainable, but it's nice to see Pookie get some attention." Rob's in the house. The beat MHH team. That's for sure. The Chiefs offense looking subpar. We definitely have a chance to win that one. Scott, the Chiefs are so funny because they're becoming a joke right now in the NFL media sphere because they are by far the most efficient team in football right now, but they will get you no more than what the efficient play is. So they are no explosives. No matter what they do, it's a 5-yard run every time. And that in combination with a top 3 defense, whatever Kansas City has right now, is winning football games. But it is definitely bland and boring. But man, it's kind of the opposite. They've become the Vic Fangio offense, Scott, where there's just nothing explosive or fun or down the field, but they are 1,000 paper cuts. They're the reaction to the Fangio defense, honestly. But it's interesting.
It's hard to win at the level that they have and keep intensity. They're bored. I mean, like they're bored with the regular season. We saw it last year when they go 11-6. You know, they're susceptible. And I saw a stat yesterday that this is the first time since Peyton Manning 2015 that a quarterback has led a team to a 6-0 record with more interceptions than touchdowns. They're beating you with defense, and that's scary because they've got the ultimate, I don't want to say cheat code, but we can win this thing with our quarterback for sure. And they just haven't had to. They're not having to right now. But does anybody still doubt that Patrick Mahomes can turn it up for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and pull magic out, a rabbit out of a hat in a clutch situation in the playoffs with a game on the line?
I mean, with their weapons, maybe, because they got no one to throw the football to right now. Travis Kelce doesn't look exactly the same right now. One more star, Scott, and then we'll get to that next part. Andrew Lampy says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Hope everyone had a great week. Other than my Hawkeyes tearing my heart out, Michigan State looks like they might have an NFL caliber quarterback. Not
them Hoosiers, man.
That's their schedule is easy, but that's.
I was expecting them to get. I was like, okay, Nebraska's 5-1. This should be a roadblock. It's 56-7.
Yeah, they're a hell of a team right now. That's crazy how the portal can turn you around there. But yeah, fun to see what Indiana can do. Iowa State too. I mean, that kills me to say, but they're undefeated, and they got maybe an NFL quarterback too, and 2 guys at wide receiver who either of them would be fun in Denver. Day 2 guys, no doubt.
And Nick, as you're looking over these teams and these games and these schedules, we want you to check out Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Check it out.
Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineup stays in place even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. And sign up today and get $50 instantly when you pay just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's a guarantee.
Download the app today. Use code MILEHIGH to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the Prize Picks app today and use code MILEHIGH to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting to it here with the Broncos, Scott, you did mention it. I don't have the access to Sports Info Solution on True Media because I'm not paying $500 for a year of access or whatever the hell it is that Athletic and ESPN can and the Ringer can utilize. But Bo Nix, as far as PFF, we do have that, has been one of the best rushing quarterbacks so far this season. He's one of 4 quarterbacks to have over 250 rushing yards. Obviously, there's Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels, who are in a different category, but Denver's right up there with Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, in those guys, 195, 231, and 255. Big difference for Bo Nix when you're looking at it right now. Top 6 quarterbacks in rushing the football this season. Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns, 4 fumbles. Jaden Daniels, 4 touchdowns, 3 fumbles. Kyler Murray, 1 touchdown, 3 fumbles. Bo Nix, 3 touchdowns, 0 fumbles. Fields, 5 touchdowns, 6 fumbles. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 6 fumbles. Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns, 4 fumbles.
Justin
You're not putting
Fields
the ball.
has 6 fumbles in 6 games.
Yeah, putting it down. Not good. Putting the ball in harm's way there. So that's a huge positive for the Denver rushing attack. And we look like we have some life with Javonte Williams. I did not listen to my own advice in fantasy, unfortunately. I have him on my bench this week. But, man, he looked like the Javonte Williams we wanted. I will say, though, and obviously this is part of it, the Saints being completely inept out there made them look like a much better team than they are. But, I mean, my gosh, if Denver can take Bo Nix off the high dive, less 3rd and longs, and run the football efficiently with how they're playing defense and how they're playing special teams, they're going to be a tough out. Now, the passing game has to evolve for them to, have a chance to – I don't think they can be this bad throwing the football and make the playoffs still, but we have a lot of time to go. But they're going to have a chance, even if the offense is, what are they, bottom 4 in the NFL right now in EPA per play?
No, it ends up being like one of those 500 type of teams when you're this good on one side of the ball. If I'm this good on offense or defense, I'm going to be in every game and I'm going to have a chance to win. I'm going to win some I probably should have lost, and I'm going to lose 1 or 2 I probably should have won. That happens anyway, but when you're a 14-2 team, when you've got both of them going together, that doesn't necessarily happen. You might lose 1 that you shouldn't have lost. But this defense is so good, it's going to keep them in every single game. And then, the cliches for a reason, but limit the mistakes, play field position, because frankly, one of the unsung heroes of this team is Riley Dixon. The dude has a sand wedge that has just been beautiful. I see the Broncos on their own 45 punting the ball, and the other team starts on the 5. I see the other team punting to the Broncos, and it's a touchback in the same situation. I mean, there's like 100 yards of field position every freaking game. They're like, oh, Riley Dixon's been busy. He's punted more than anybody this year, and he's dropping the ball with backspin. Like, I don't know who's a good short player in golf, but it's his placement and the special teams on his placement punts to pin teams back has been magnificent this year. And then you can release the Dobermans on defense when you've got them pinned on the 5.
We don't have the updated DVOA yet. DVOA does do something where they put a negative weight on special teams for Denver because of the altitude. I don't know exactly how that plays into it, but I know they do something. But coming into this game, DVOA had Denver as the 3rd best special teams in football, with the Saints having the 2nd best special teams. And I'll tell you, it was decidedly Denver in that matchup. Now, granted, Saints offense was pretty DOA in this game. So it's kind of feels like a weird game. It still matters. Every team gets games like that. It's like we talked about on Friday. It's nice for Denver to be on the, hey, we won a game we were supposed to side of things.
Handily, you might add. Handily.
Yeah.
It was like I said, it was a professional victory was how we talked about it on Friday morning. It was a professional victory. And you go against a team that's struggling. The Carolina Panthers are struggling. I can win with defense and special teams. I can beat them flat out with this level of defense and special teams because I can pin them inside their 10 over and over and over and over again, and they ain't getting out. They're not getting out of there against this Denver Broncos defense with the ineptitude that they show on offense. And I will continually have the ball at midfield. And 10 yards is a field goal then in this league. The 40-yard, get to the 40-yard line, and it's 3 points these days.
And just to your point, Scott, we actually have more metrics or data just how good the Denver special teams has been winning in the margins. Mike Kliss, shout out to him for having the numbers. I don't know where he got all this, the numbers from. I don't think he calculated every single team's metrics, but Denver so far this season, as far as offensive starting field position, they're averaging at the 33.5 yard line, which ranks third in the NFL. And the average defensive starting field position, number 1 in the NFL. So shout out to the coverage units and the punt team. The opposing offenses average starting at the 26.8 yard line. So that goes hand in hand with turnovers. That's a huge one because those are the ones that really flip the field. Obviously, if you give the fumble the ball and they have it on the 40, that's going to change the average a lot. Your 40 versus their 40. But yeah, Denver's winning in the margins. That's helping the defense a lot as well. And setting up the offense to, we keep talking about, Bo Nix needs this, Bo Nix needs that, but run game, offensive line. I know that some people will scream about the offensive line, but the pressure numbers are very good. The advanced metrics for the offensive line are very good. And best starting field position, our third best starting field position for the offense in football. Those are taking your quarterback off the high dive situations.
No, I like it when, we call it seat of the pants analytics. I like it when the eye test tells me that Riley Dixon has been pinning teams back over and over and over again. Yeah. What did the analytics tell me? That Riley Dixon's been pinning them back over and over again. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Yeah, it's just number 1 in defensive starting, in opponent's starting field position. Number 1. We talk about hidden yardage. There it is, Nick. There it is. What's the difference? What's the difference right now? What is the average starting field position for the best team? If you say the Broncos let's just say they're third. What's their average starting field position?
I don't.
No, you just had it. You were looking it up. Or was it just
I only have Denver's. I have Denver's numbers.
Yeah.
Denver's number 1 in defensive starting field position at 26.8. Number 3 in offensive starting field position at 33.5.
That's 7 yards of possession. How many possessions in a game? 8 or 9?
8,
10. Yeah. 70 yards of field position. That's a touchdown right there. That's 70 yards in field position a game based on defense and special teams and coverage and that type of thing. So yeah, there's multiple ways of winning. Sean Payton's talked about the 2 things I feel like you can improve the quickest are, he said, special teams was one, then health was another one. And then he talked about, then let's go into the offensive line where you can get those guys, you start getting those guys without, getting lucky. It's like, I can actually go get good players, where getting your quarterback is always a little bit of a crapshoot. Did you get Bo Nix or not? Maybe, the jury's out. It'll be out for at least a year.
Another year from now.
Yeah. So at least a year. But, did you get your wide receiver? Did you get a return on this guy? But special teams, strength and conditioning, and offensive line play were the 3 that he highlighted earlier this year. Is like, we feel like we can come in and make a quick impact in those phases of the game.
You know who makes a quick impact, Scott? Manscaped.
I have a pretty good idea. Manscaped. Hey, everyone. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Every man knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barber shop shave. Now, what if I told you no longer have to wait weeks or even months between appointments to experience it?
Yeah, absolutely. Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your very home. Whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain that rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped using our code HUDDLE for 20% off plus free shipping.
Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. And remember, the holidays are coming too, y'all.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We got our guy Troy coming in, says, "Hey guys, thank you for all you do. McGlinchey was perhaps a little better than the chatter indicated. Hope we can stay healthy for a run and re-sign some guys soon." I hate that re-sign and resign are the same. Re-sign has the hyphen in it, but they have just the complete opposite meanings. I made that mistake too many times on articles early on, writing for Chad. So that's resign, resign. McGlinchey, I mean, we talked about this a lot, Scott. He became the punching bag last year for the "it's not Russell Wilson's fault" people out there. And he did struggle the first 6-7 games. But after that, his pressure numbers dropped like incredibly. He was much better. And this is what you get paying open market prices for premium positions. There was a reason he was available in free agency rather than brought back. And he plays one of the key 4 positions that are always going to be paid really highly. The only time you can get a equitable ROI on that is if you're re-signing your own guy before they hit the market a lot of times, not talking rookie contracts. So, I mean, that's kind of what you get open market tackle, but he's a big player for them. He has been their best offensive lineman when he's been on the field this season. He was their best offensive lineman the first 2 weeks. He was the best offensive lineman versus the Saints as well. And the combination of him and Miners on the right side, again, further lean into that identity where we can run the ball to the right. And I do want to give a shout out here. I don't think his pass protection is as good right now. But if we are going to be a run-centric team, the way Forsyth was able to clamps guys, get to the second level, pinhole guys as well, I think it's Forsyth's job until injury or he's having mistake after mistake, because I feel like there has been an impactful difference in the run game up front, going from Wattenberg's more passive play to Forsyth, who I feel like is moving guys a little bit better.
I don't feel Troy, it's a great comment. McGlinchey is playing well. He's again, and when you do, the dollar signs go out the window. Nobody cares how much the money is if you feel like you're getting value. Am I getting value for this guy? You're starting to, yeah. So he's playing well. He was a big miss when he's out there. And again, if I can go Miners and McGlinchey and run right, there's very few places on the offense right now based on personnel where I have an advantage over the defense for the Denver Broncos. Courtland Sutton in a one-on-one matchup, I like it.
Yeah.
After that, it starts becoming questionable. I've got one. If I've got a run fit where they're not just jamming 8 guys on my right side, McGlinchey and Miners and Javonte is and then even if you want to run some read options out of there with Bo Nix, pulling it and going around the side, that's an advantage. That's an advantage I have where I can dictate to you. Now, one of the things, Nick, I wanted to get to, because I was very critical of the Broncos early on in the season, was the playing in a phone booth. So part of the run game opening up is getting the ball downfield even just a little bit. The first time I remember seeing the Broncos really trying to open it up was against the Buccaneers. It took 3 games.
Yeah.
The first game was side to side. You tried to go toe to toe with the Steelers. I still don't really know why. And then the first play of the game against the Buccaneers was let's stretch this thing out a little bit, and it opens everything up. So a little bit of complementary football, a little bit of trying to push the ball downfield, even if you're not successful, you still got to show it. Helps open up the running game, and it has. And part of that is trusting your rookie quarterback a little bit more, Nick.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's a big part of it. Also, while it can't be, obviously Sean Payton, he's I don't think spamming the easy button with Bo Nix that much, but you have to have functional offense to get yourself the reps to get development at the quarterback play. And I felt like they were leaning more into the orbit pre-snap motion off the run game and utilizing the quarterback run design early on to great effect. You obviously can't live in a world where Bo Nix is rushing the ball 15 times a game in design, but that range of 3 to 7 times a game, just to have that counter to hold that edge player as well, or make the linebackers think about it. It's great. We haven't seen the evolution yet in the NFL where Bo Nix right now he's a playmaker in the run game and the scramble game because he can get out and he's a good athlete. He's not a play extender, so to speak, yet. We haven't seen him utilize that where it is then creating the explosive pass plays. We saw a couple in preseason, but haven't seen it in the NFL yet that I can recall. But it is something to work on, no doubt. Coach Chris comes in and says, "Good morning. Could this week's game be a catch game? We have a brutal stretch coming up the next 5. Any rumors Broncos picking up anyone before the deadline? Need wide receiver or tight end help? Have a great Bronco day." As far as rumors go, there's been Alvin Kamara talk, but I don't know I think that's more media driven than reality. I personally wouldn't trade for Kamara, who is going to be 30 years old, has had almost like he probably leads the NFL in touches out of any single player in the entire NFL at this point because of how much he's utilized in the run and pass game. And yeah, he has a huge cap hit in 2025. So I don't know. I don't think Denver and Alvin Kamara away from the Super Bowl. No, and it's going to impact your 2025 cap space and get you one less draft pick. So I'm not super interested. I would be interested in a tight end coming over. Maybe, it can be super cheap, Scott. I just need a second Adam Troutman, for God's sake. So Austin Hooper for like a 7th round pick. Njoku would be great. He'd be a dream, but there might be some suitors for him. As far as the brutal stretch coming up, yeah, it's going to be tough. And Denver can't overlook the Panthers. It's still a professional team. If they play Bronco football, whatever, they should steamroll them. But that's what gets you in trouble when players start having that mindset. And I don't think under Sean Payton, this team will have that mindset.
Yeah. And Coach Chris, could this week's be a catch game or a trap game? No, the Panthers are that bad. They are that ready to go on vacation. The 1, 2, 3 Cabo clap. Let's go.
Yeah.
So no is my answer on this one. No, I don't want to jinx it, but there's almost no way the Broncos lose this game to the Panthers. Take care of business. Brutal stretch. Any rumors about Broncos? Kamara isn't for me. I don't want any rentals. You're not in a spot where I can, let's get this guy for 6 months and then he's going to be a free agent because no one's going to keep his contract. Or he's got to be young enough where I want to re-sign him. I'm going to bring him in and I'm going to re-sign him for 2 or 3 years. Anybody I bring in, I want to have 2 or 3 years. Now, Coach Chris, people have talked about tight ends and whatnot. Keith over on Facebook says, what about Dalton Schultz over with the Houston Texans? Has he been healthy? Because
I don't know, but I can't imagine the Texans. He's still getting a majority of the snaps out there, so he's still part of the design.
I mixed up Texans in my head with Titans again.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Texans are not in the sellers. They're not in this. They're not selling. The Texans aren't selling. If he was on the Titans,
different conversation.
Yes. Now, who's the Titans tight end? Who can we go after there?
They don't.
I get Houston, Oilers, Texans, Titans confused in my brain every so often. So no, I wouldn't. I don't think Houston's going to be sellers.
Yeah, and I see there's some conversation going on here with blaming drops for the pass game and everything. Let's just get the numbers out there so you guys can do with it as you will. But this was before this week's slate of games. So these are not updated, but this is what I could find from BetMGM. The Broncos have been credited with 7 drops so far this season offensively, which is tied for the 13th best. So pretty much middle of the pack. This isn't an offense that is plagued by drops enough where it's going to make or break the numbers that we've seen from the pass game this season. And just they only have 7. You have the Browns with 19, Giants, Seahawks with 16, Jets 14, Packers 13, Bills 11, Panthers, Patriots, Texans 10, Denver at 7. I think it's probably pretty negligible overall. You don't want any drops, but they are not so bad that it's making a huge difference in the output of the pass game.
Yeah, and with the trade deadline coming up, the Denver Broncos are going to want to pick up the phone and make some calls, or at least receive some calls. And with big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about those gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, monthly bills, and unexpected overages.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/huddle. Again, that's mintmobile.com/huddle. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/huddle. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. So overall, Scott,
my question on this real quick, Nick.
Yeah.
Because we've had games where Bo Nix threw 40 times for 125 yards. What's the volume on there? Where are the Broncos in as far as number of attempts in the NFL? They're probably middle of the pack too, I would think.
I mean, you had those early games where Denver was dropping back a lot.
Well,
so
they were throwing the ball a lot. They weren't dropping back a whole lot.
Yeah, so actually, as far as drop back attempts, Bo Nix is 5th in the NFL at 262. So the volume is quite high in terms of the actual drop back game. So
the percentage of drop passes is actually lower than the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
And Greg Dulcich had 3 of them in one game.
Yeah. And if you just went to attempts rather than drop backs, because those are taking away scrambles, sacks, et cetera, it's 6th in the NFL at 224. Now, granted, bye weeks are starting to play into it as well. Right. So we're starting to have some buys. So even if you wanted to be more specific, it'd be attempts per game. But it's not like Denver's only thrown the ball. They're the lowest in the league by far. They're higher, and you have a average drop ball rate. So I don't think it's enough to be a determining factor. You're middle. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just middle.
No, and Keith asked the same question I just see over here. It's not like Nix is tossing up 40 passes per game. Well, his lowest attempts is 25, and he's got it goes like this: 42, 35, 36. Wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't throw the ball that much with a rookie quarterback. 25, 27, 33, 26.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about it, and the formula has been what we saw versus the Saints. And I mean, Nixon, we need to have some work on the horizontal pass games stuff as well. But I think we
imagine yards per attempt is one of the bottom 5 in the NFL because of so much side to side throwing.
Yeah, I am yards per attempt. Let me see where we're at here with Bo Nix. Oh yeah, 5.6, which out of qualifying passers with at least 150 dropbacks is third to last in the NFL. I
mean, again, when the numbers match the eye test, that's you can watch the game and go, okay, we're not getting the ball downfield. Yeah. We're not. And again, I've said over and over and over again from before Nix took a snap with the Denver Broncos, it's hard to judge your quarterback in the downfield passing game with this level of weapons. I need 2 more downfield threats before I even start thinking about how I'm going to grade the downfield passing game on Bo Nix.
Yeah, and those guys might be emerging. I mean, I'm really happy to see Franklin, the best game of his career. Was this game or the last one? He had a touchdown reception. I think it was the last one, but he's got some involvement in a game that even if he just becomes your 4th wide receiver, Scott, and a kind of a big play guy, there's value for a 4th round pick at wide receiver, considering what the market's paying those guys. And again, another get right game here, but really the big thing for me, this run game, it's something that I thought they would be good this season. The way they've invested in their offensive line, it better be. Now that I think there's some more options for Bo Nix early on. Now, granted, right now he's playing a little bit more Taysom Hill like than Drew Brees, which isn't the plan long term, but it's enough to string you along right now while we wait and see the drop back pass game, the under center stuff, the pocket stuff, the multi-read stuff develop. And it's giving you a level of competency, a floor on offense that makes it so you can actually still be functional out there to a certain extent. Got to be better than they have been on the whole, but functional while we hopefully grow and develop those areas that are more sustainable long-term for a NFL offense.
And Troy Franklin did lead the team in targets last game.
Yeah. Yep. It was good to see. It was good to see. So he's somebody who could emerge as your down the field guy. He's never going to be a superstar number 1. I mean, never say never, right? But just based on what we've seen, I don't think that's the case. But he can be part of your fold of weapons and have different roles in an offense, and that's really nice to have on a rookie contract. Just hold on to the ball, Troy. But any final thoughts, Scott? I know we want to wrap on up here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we came out of this Carolina game with Denver having a top, right now they're 4th in rush success rate. They're 11th or 12th in EPA per play. Based on what we saw the Panthers do, the Panthers do, but against the Commanders, Denver could walk out of this game with a top 8 EPA offense, rushing the football, and really set themselves up to be that going forward. I think you're going to see the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Falcons after that really counter and play heavy boxes and say, Bo Nix, we're going to have 8 guys in the box. Maybe the Falcons not. I don't know. We'll see, Scott. That's a ways away. That's an eternity. 3 games, that's an eternity.
Just the joke here is we just did the Falcons podcast, and I just spent an hour shillelaghing the Atlanta Falcons' passive, cowardly defensive scheme. Yeah. So if there's ever a time to run the ball, it's against a 2-man defensive front on 1st and 10.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. But the offensive line is the best thing on this offense by far. I don't agree with JR's opinion here. The offense needs to pass block better. I see a quarterback who's trying to figure out his footwork and working in space within structure, and a lot of times drifting into pressure and area where there's not space when he could move elsewhere and find space. But that's okay to critique that. It doesn't mean he's going to be a bad quarterback in the drop back under center game forever. It's an issue right now. But the offensive line, they're leaning into it. It was their best game as a collective on the season. Garrett Bowles had a great game. Powers out there in space. Forsyth out there in space as well. My biggest issue with their blocking has been, honestly, Scott, it's been the tight ends, really killing the outside, not sustaining outside blocks, but have something going forward. And I'd love to get a little bit more explosive on the run game. But overall, I mean, this offensive line has been one of the top 10 units in football this season. The metrics, I think the PFF and ESPN have them, when you look at their conglomerate stats, I think they're like number 2 in pass protection in the entire NFL. I don't think they're that good, but they're not bad. They're definitely top half of the league. So offensive line, leaning on them, they're playing like they should.
It's like, oh, they had trouble running the ball early. Yeah, they're looking at 9-man defensive fronts. Yeah. You're not blocking 5 on 9. The offensive line has been doing well. Again, it's hard to judge. Sometimes it's hard to evaluate. I can't evaluate the offensive line when they're looking at 9-man fronts. I can't. I can't
block more guys than there are.
Yeah. So, getting more balance in the offense has absolutely, and spreading the field a little bit, working outside in has definitely been good for this team and seeing the development. And again, the biggest surprise of the season is still the level of the defense. It's like, I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the defense now. Will they have their games, their off games? Sure, they will. They had one against the Chargers where they had trouble getting the Chargers off the field. But that's the NFL. There's 17 games. Over the course of 17 games, I'm a believer. This is going to finish as a top 10 unit in the NFL. We never would have said that at the beginning of the year. So I'm a believer in the defense now.
And the special teams, as we talked about. I'm a believer in the show. Thanks to everybody coming in here, hanging out with us today. Denver Luke, Michael Ronquillo, Andrew Lampy, Troy Boer, Coach Chris as well. You guys are great. Exciting for the Broncos coming up here. Obviously, we will preview the Panthers game a little bit more. I don't know if that means we have to go and watch that Panthers versus Commanders game, Scott. I don't know if I can stomach watching that type of bad football, but we might. But Denver's got a chance to get up to 5-3, and it's nice to have a little bit of time to get better and better here. So excited to see what's ahead, and this team is much better as on the whole than what we thought, and the offense is starting to look like we'd hoped. Granted, one game against the Saints. Can we repeat it against the Panthers? We'll see. Make sure you guys are following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I'm at Nick Kendall, MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, we're over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. Follow us there. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube as well. Once again, shout out to our presenting sponsors today. You guys support them. Support us by supporting them. Prize Picks, Manscaped, and Mint Mobile. Shout out to them. And appreciate it. Brandon Williams also says, off the next 4, I know we should beat the Panthers. Which one of the 3 do you think you have the best chance to pick up a win? It is easily the Falcons, in my opinion, because the Chiefs have the Falcons are at home against Denver. So that's 3 points right there. And the Ravens have the far and away best, most dynamic, most unique rushing attack in football. The Chiefs have the best combination of interior offensive line, quarterback / defense in football. And then the Falcons, who explosive passing, but injuries are starting to stack up on the offensive line a little bit for them. Kirk can put the ball in harm's way, and Falcons defense is a bottom 10 defense in football. So Denver should have a chance to run the football and keep that one close. But this is a tough stretch.
Yeah, it's Atlanta, and Atlanta's an improved team, and their offense is good. Their defense is playing incredibly passive, but they're not the Ravens or Chiefs.
No.
So yeah, Atlanta. It'll probably be if things. We'll see. I would imagine that's going to be a line. The line on that will be within a point. It'll be like 1 point, one way or the other. Either the Broncos are favorites, so it'll probably end up Vegas will probably end up thinking it'll be a pick 'em, but it's Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm really pretty bummed, Scott, that the NFL is making Denver go on the road at Arrowhead after what is arguably the toughest, most physical team you can play in the Ravens. So I'm not going to totally judge the Broncos, how they play at that Arrowhead game. They always play the Chiefs tough, but I don't know. The Ravens on the road first that's brutal. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Monday.
Maybe you're hoping the Ravens are overlooking the Broncos. It happens.
It's possible. I mean, I don't know, man. Lamar Jackson MVP so far this season. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? But appreciate everyone. Have a good one. Continue to choose kindness and compassion. We'll see you later. Go Broncos.